into my subject matter. I want people to sit and listen because I just want to clear it up. So let me share my screen. Yeah, find it. Give me a second. And as y'all know, I'll make sure no message come out. As y'all know, the subject, the people that's now tuning in now, the title of today's subject is student loan debt. Will your paycheck be garnished? And as I see that it's now sharing, and I know people can see it, let me know. Okay. And the purpose I'm mentioning is because I know one brother mentioned this yesterday on the same stream about this. I did talk about this yesterday, but I'm gonna recap it on this again to prove a little more emphasis and my take on it. Because to everybody know, I have done a show on this, I think almost 2 years ago, maybe a year ago, maybe almost 2 years ago, on student loan debt and what will happen to what is to come. And if I do find that broadcast, I will share it on my link on YouTube. Well, let's go into it. A GOP proposed could snatch your student loan payments right from your paycheck. Lawmakers are proposing a massive overhaul to the student debt system. Borrowers' monthly loan bills will be automatically deducted from your paycheck. The plan quickly drew criticism from consumer advocates who call it mandatory wage garnishment. As we go down, student loan borrowers would have their monthly bills automatically deducted from their paycheck if a Republican-backed proposal become law. Senator Lamar Alexander, R10, chairman of the Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pension Committee, laid out the detail of a massive overhaul to the student loan system in a speech early this month. The changes could affect some of 40 million people. Now, mind you, people, when I did a broadcast on this, like I said, a year ago or two, the average right now, there's 40 million Americans, and I'm not sure by race, but just in general, just 40 million, have right now are in student loan debt. Some of them even default on student loan debt now, for some time now. And as y'all know, during that same broadcast, if I can recall, the debt of people owing in student loans gravitate the ceiling of the natural debt in America, which is pushing 1.3 trillion at that time, 2 years ago, maybe a little bit more. And what is now known that people don't understand is that the more you're borrowing and either are paying or refuse to pay or you default on it, it's not only going to hurt you as your credit score, but it also hurts the country in regards to debt, which, the country operates on debt. I want people to know. But let me continue. The average debt at graduation is currently around 30K, up from 10K in the early 1990s. So it jumped for over during that time, 1990s to now. I think it increased to 20K more in a span of almost 30 years. The country outstanding student loan balance is projected to swell to 2 trillion by 2020. And really, like I said, we're in 2019. So if I had to guess, looks like we're pushing out 1.7 trillion right now in 2019. So if everything falls way it goes and it keeps jumping a trillion every year, I could say it could be right on target within 2 trillion within the next 3 years. Let's continue. The current borrowers are matched with companies that administer the federal student loan program, and they have some of 14 different ways to repay their education debt. Under Alexander's proposal, there would be just 2 repayments rooted, one in which borrowers' monthly bills are capped at 10% of their discretionary income, and another that spreads their payment out over a decade. Employers would be responsible for taking the funds from their employees' paycheck and sending them to the. Of course, student loan borrowers currently can't set up automatic payment with their lenders. They also typically get a discount on their interest rate for doing so. I think this proposal is likely to become law after some tweak, said Mark Kawagoski. I don't know if I pronounced that right. A student loan expert, and I think this is his name. Or this is him. Yeah, this is actually Lamar Alexander Firm. This is the picture of him. Lamar said his proposal would streamline the student loan system and protect borrowers. It makes sure if there were no money earned, there would be no money owed, and that would not reflect negative on a borrower's credit, he said. The plan quickly drew criticism from consumer advocates who called it mandatory wage garnishment for borrowing with tight budget that needs to be navigated on a monthly basis. Forced automatic payroll withhold may mean diverting money away from rent, heat, or food in order to pay their student loan. Read a report by the National Consumers Law Center. I might click on it later. Criticism on the proposed say that payments should always be voluntary and that people need the flexibility to default on their student loan. 1 in 5 borrowers are in default or delinquency on their student debt. And here's a picture of a shared undergrad borrower who defaulted. Within 12 years of entering the school, for-profit college, 52%. Private, non-profit 4-year college, 19%. Public 2-year college, 26%. And public 4-year college, 18%. And one thing I noticed with this graph here, it said for-profit college. Now, mind you, people, I don't really take loans, so I don't really deal with these things. But from looking at the graph, it looked like the bigger chunk of this is from the for-profit college. And, you know, I did share some links. So anybody that ever been to college and ever took a loan could probably explain this better. And matter of fact, I might have to send a link to another brother in a sec after I finish reading this. The other thing, when a borrower defaults on their federal student loan, Kowalski said the government currently can garnish up to 15% of their wages anyway, which is more than the 10% that would be taken out under Alexander's proposal. Now, mind you, they said this would take 10% out of your check if you get the job. And last time I checked, a lot of people, especially our people that got these degrees in certain fields they're in, some can't find work, much as some degrees they got are obsolete. So I wonder, now that this thing is being proposed, I'm not sure if it's put in effect, and I did try to hit up Cerulean on this, that this could be detrimental to not the average American, but could be detrimental to our people, because majority of people that's taking loans is not black men, it's a lot of black women, because they say they're the quote unquote most educated. So they say. But let me continue reading. Many borrowers who defaulted have sufficiently income to repay their debt, but just have difficulties managing their money. Kowalski said there's the potential for a lot of elegance in the design of student loan repayment via payroll withholds. However, Mark Nasserin, Director of Federal Relations at the American Association of State College and University, called the proposal a detour from real reform. This is a system rifle with fraud and predatory lending, he said. Some borrowers might also have an issue, he added, with their employers knowing the details of their debt. And find ways to ease the student loan debt crisis. I mean, there's a video. Let me go up and see if there's any other videos. So, right. Let me click onto one of these links. There was one here. Let's see what this means, mandatory wage garnish. Let me click onto that. And I'm gonna give some people's feedback. All right. All right. Last week, Senator Lamar Alexander, the chair of the U.S. Senate Committee on Health, Labor, and Pension Proposal, a program that would require student loan borrowers to repay their loans through mandatory automatic deduction. Amiri, mute your line for a second.
Oh, shit.
From their paycheck yesterday, the National Consumer Law Center released a policy briefing. The dark side of payroll withholding to repay student loans explains why forcing borrowers to pay their student loan through the employees will harm many of the very borrowers these programs are hoping to help. For many borrowers, including those who lack stability, employment, or work in a gig economy, forced automatic payroll withholdings may mean diverting money away from rent, heat, or food in order to pay their student loans. It could also mean that they would have to give their employees a lot of information about their families, potentially including spouse income and their student loan debt in order to calculate the student loan payment amount. Some borrowers already experience a form of mandatory payroll withholding to pay their student loan administrative wages, garnishment, which can happen if a borrower falls behind a loan or payment and default. Many borrowers have told us that wage garnishment makes it harder to pay the rent or other bills or buy school supply for their kids. Have you experienced wage garnish? How has it impacted you and your family? Share your story. Also, do you know that may be able to challenge or reduce the federal student loan garnishment? The most common reason is the garnishment would cause financial hardship to you and your dependencies. Click here to, okay, which government? Calculate. All right, so that wants me to click. So let me go back. Maybe we should talk about this. All right, so let me stop sharing my screen for a minute. All right, so let me get back on that here. All right, so let me do this. Oh, and Charles, I did send you a link. So if you want to come aboard, check your email, sir. And let me go through the comments. Oh. Okay. All right. Yes, true. You get a plumbing license, electronic license. Okay. I understand that. Yep. Thank you. All right. Wow. A lot of those colleges and student loans are in the six figures. You hear me? 6 figures, correct? The only thing college guarantee is debt. That's true. Very true, Officer Charles. A lot of tech companies now don't even look for your degrees you have there. All right, so Mary, I know that I read that. I'm not sure if I read it too fast or clear enough. Did you get what I just read? To get your take on that?
Yeah. Look, man, that that college thing is a racket, and it's just like I saw. Charles Faulkner said. He said the only thing that a college degree guarantees is debt, and that's absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's absolutely right, man. When unfortunately a lot of sisters have bought into that, that get your education thing, and what it really is, it's not even real education. You know what I'm saying? And I hate to say that because I don't want to be disparaging of the academic accomplishments and achievements of sisters, but that's just the truth. I mean, even when we go back to the idea of centralized education, in American society, it was always an elitist apparatus to glean a few bright minds from the general populace. That was a quote that Thomas Jefferson made regarding education. That's really what it was for. All it does is reinforce the status quo of the oligarchs and the plutocrats, and it's really just a shell game. You know what I'm saying? Because I know sisters who are college graduates and who make, they have a good income, but those goddamn payments, boy, be hell, man. And like a lot of those individuals, they be paying for college into their 40s and 50s, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like some of those schools is like it's like 6 figures. I mean, even like when you look at Trinidad, for example, and I'm using them for an example because I know from firsthand that they have free secondary education, so it doesn't cost them any money to go to college in Trinidad. And I think it's probably some other countries like that too. I think it is. I can't think of all of them, but so that whole thing where you got to pay and all that, like that's a shell game, man.
Cuba is another country. Depending if you want to be a doctor or a medical thing, it's very affordable as well. But this is my thing with the college thing, and I get pushback on this, and I'm not being pushback just to be disingenuous, but I'm being honest to tell people this, even women or men, or anybody. You go in there, there's only two things you gotta look for. If you're not going to be a doctor or a lawyer or a sophisticated high engineer, anything else you do, the amount of 4 years you spent on that, you're wasting your time. And not only wasting your time, but like I said, these are six-figure debts people are accumulating just by the decision alone.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing about it, outside of America, you could probably get away and still attend college. I know Charles putting something in the chat room. I'm reading this in a second. But overall, people don't understand this, that it's a Ponzi scheme. And it's been a Ponzi scheme since they start removing a lot of the industrial jobs, the things that helped fuel America during the end of the 60s, going on some parts of the 70s. Once those jobs start to go, most of that sit there that can get to college or attend it, it became more, I would say, feasible. Like some people can get in there a little bit more easier now. The route to go to college is not that difficult like it was 40 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So right there, if anybody get in now, that tells you the value of college is garbage. So one time, usually you have to put in work just to get in there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And usually when you come out, you might get something out of it. And one thing I read out of that second piece of the article, that a lot of people don't know how to manage their money. So right there, you live in a capitalist system. One of the best gigs and Ponzi schemes to get a whole bunch of money is through predatory loaning.
Right.
And it said it there about the warning, the danger of predatory loaning.
The money changers, man. The money changers. It's always the bankers and the lenders, man. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Even in the Bible, in the New Testament, they was the problem. You know what I'm saying?
And the Bible said about the money changers. You know what I'm saying? They talk about it back then.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that something?
Yep. These are the same individuals, man.
Mm-hmm. All right, I think Charles wrote something. I noticed no one falls in college. In college anymore. They do it just to keep going. It's more bigger than that, Charles. The average rate now of an average college student here in America is 5 years now. So what that tells you? Hold on. Oh, my mic is working. Okay. What that tells you? That tells you the longer you stay in there and you know that you're not really getting no scholarship, you're paying out of the loan. The more money that the college get and the more debt you put into. I noticed this. I think I've been around a few students here and there that I don't talk to, but I notice on the average, some of them don't even finish on time. Some do, but on the average,
I'm not to change the subject, but this is a question for Charles. But Charles Faulkner, he's an officer, right? He's a police officer.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, we should get him on a blog talk one day to do a show about community policing, the challenges that officers face, what it's like being black and being an officer. You know what I'm saying? I think that'd be a worthwhile conversation to have. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I had him on another show, so yeah, that would be good. I'll talk to you more about that.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, like I was saying before, it takes. I tell people many times, the longer you stay in there, especially if it's not a free road, the longer you gotta always think about the debt you're gonna pile up. And I'm gonna tell most people this: be around non-black people, especially Caucasian males. A lot of them, once they go to school, a lot of them in their mind, they always think of how they want to fish and get out. That's their thinking. They're not thinking of staying there long as they need to because they know that a lot of them are taking these massive loans. It's not just the black people that qualify loans, but a lot of non-black people are taking these loans and getting fucking the ass by these debts. Excuse my Frank, but getting raped. Oh, Charles wrote something. Remember, jobs out there will say you're underqualified to you and go to get your associates, then a bachelor's, then a master, then You hear the damn news of being overqualified. That's the whole point, Charles. And you know, isn't it ironic that most of our people that fall for that goofy shit, someone say you get last time I checked, for any job that you're trying to do and you need, you should have the necessary so-called quote unquote skills just to bring quality to that so-called corporation. But when you see the games that they play, when it comes to our people, especially men, I'm saying you're underqualified, you're too qualified. I mean, I look at it as make up your mind. Do you want a qualified person or not? Because there's no such thing as you can't be overqualified. And this is my thing when I hear those talks. And I know people don't like this. Anytime you hear that talks, the only for you as an intelligent man or woman, especially if a black man, you have the right in your God-given truth to go find something elsewhere and find alternative ways to sustain yourself. Do not depend on any job. I mean any fucking job that will sit there run game on you to deny you of a sense of employment. Talking about say you're too qualified or underqualified. No, it's just really they don't want to really hire you. But this is the problem we face as people because we don't create enough industry for ourselves. And and I'm telling people this, right? It's come to a point now in the 21st century that the system is going to force black people to make a way now. We have no choice. We just have no choice at this point, the stage of the game. Because if things are being automated now it's going to make us have to go back to the old ways how we sustain ourselves. And with the power of the internet, things are possible, you know? So we're going to have to probably start over and learn other ways of getting that digital income.
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
Even on that point, Chaos, and this is why it's very superficial for women to apply value to a man's ability to earn income, because when we talk about income, essentially what we're talking about is fiat currency. But the fact is that men today don't possess the survival skills that men 100 years ago possessed, that men 200, 300, 400, 500 years, possessed. See, and it's kind of like being set up for the kill, because how many of us out here can, how many of us can hunt? How many of us can,
not that many,
clean our own water? How many of us can build a shelter? How many of us? That's why a lot of what you're really talking about is absolutely brilliant with the with the Charles Faulkner initiative going into the military, because the military give you a lot of those survival skills, man. Like if society ever breaks down, the men who are going to have the prime value are going to be military men, because they're going to have a lot of those skills. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
A lot of those skills.
And listen, I don't care what any of y'all people, especially y'all females or males. That plane that brother made, him and Charles Faulkner. And Charles, please come up. I give you a link. I know you're busy. Please come up as soon as possible. That this is my thing. With that plan, it's supposed to give you not only necessary skills, but put you in a position of power. You know what I'm saying? Imposed environment. And what has happened now, and I want our people to understand this. The reason why a lot of people that's hearing the plan and hearing more on these streams and getting pushback, because by default, a lot of our women don't want black men to be back in business. Author something. If you want me to send you a link, please hit the messenger and I'll give you the link. But like I said before, like any plan is put into action is a necessity, because it's not gonna get easier, it's gonna get harder. And because our black men don't have necessary skills, the normal survival skills, especially living up here north or particularly down south, a lot of them can't do certain basic stuff to survive any disaster or any type of situation, And my only concern about the community is that our women are somewhat in control right now of this community. So and knowing this, that when we talk about what is necessary for the future to see us to put us back in a position of not only leadership but power. A lot of women are not going to divorce that power. So when they look at their sons, and a lot of them have sons, they're not thinking of say how we going to put our children, especially our sons, back in a position so we could survive and thrive. That is not in their psychology. And I don't think it ever was in their psychology. Regardless, someone will say yes, no, it's not, because as a man, I more watch the action of people. I don't go by their words. If I'm seeing you tell me one thing, I'm seeing you do some opposite, and you've seen countless times, Amiri, then obviously I know by default you're bullshitting. And it goes back to mentorship. I know one do posts about mentorship. I'm gonna say this about mentorship, and this is my perspective. It's only gonna take a respectful man to take on a few boys, not every boy, because not everybody's meant to make it. You understand me? A lot of them have been damaged because of their upbringings and how they've been raised by the sisters. And a lot of sisters gonna get mad at this, but we gotta be honest here. What things you prepare your children now, especially sons now, for them to be the men that you want to see them, and not something that you want to control or use, is my biggest question.
Well, see, it's hard for sisters to put themselves in that state of mind because they feel like they're automatically losing something. And this is I've talked about this because they've been conditioned to view it as a zero-sum game where winner take all. And sisters, there is truth to the idea of sisters being thrust into untenable situations where they've had to be strong, they've had to be on the forefront. But what you're dealing with now is sisters who don't want to give that up. See, because with that, it comes a certain level of admiration and accolades. See, it's the dominant society that told sisters they had to be strong and they had to be independent. And to an extent, they engineered it because they rendered many Black men economically irrelevant. But the key here is to socialize sisters to be selective and to be codependent. See, that's the key, because when they're socialized that way, then the males who are most able to be effective in leading and building families and communities, those males will be the ones who get picked and who get chosen. But when you think that you have this strength and this independence, then you'll be less discerning in the types of men you join yourself to, and that you have children with. See, in this way, the strong Black stereotype and caricature has done harm to sisters, and it continues to do harm to sisters because they've bought into this mythology. You see, and so that's a part of it, man. Like, sisters have to give something up. That's why I keep trying to tell them you can't have it both ways. You can't be Sasha Fierce and then you want to be a damsel in distress too.
Correct.
See, because males and that's the thing. See, because being a man is it is an occupation. It is something that you have to earn and that you have to work at and that you have to be trained in. And if boys don't have those templates to follow and those patterns to mimic and to emulate and to be trained in, then they're not going to know how to do what the sisters claim they want them to do. See, what we're seeing from sisters is them saying they want one thing, but their actions are saying another. You have to, if you say you want this from your men, then you're going to have to fall back and let the men take the reins so they can have these male dominated spaces. And the first male dominated space that these boys should be privy to is not somewhere at some program, but it's at home. That should be the first male dominated space. Mm-hmm. That's the way it's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. But
it's actually the first. It's actually the first any institution is the family household. At least you get everything. You're groomed before you step out into the world itself. I totally agree with that.
Exactly.
And I look at the average female or any person, even males or females in our community, they don't see the value of building anything, especially even when we talk about the family. Let's say, all right, a city doesn't want to have children, or he sees something of himself at an elder man. Okay, I get that. But the average man, black man, and probably some black women think otherwise. So I tell people many times we should always focus on the ones that will instead of ones that don't, I mean,
Right.
if you look at one particular, I guess he's a brother. He had issue with or city in regards, his views about putting women into the and bend them over and all this stuff. I ain't gonna say his name, but I look at it as this. Okay, you try from your rhetoric, you want to have family. He said yes. You want to have children. Yes. Okay. So your complaints about the sisters, about they might be a certain way, height or weight, or all this stuff. Okay, I get you. So why, as any man, and this is why I question a lot of men, why not just find a woman that you want to build that family?
Right.
You don't have to do no sister if you want a sister and you complain that a majority are overweight. So go find the ones that is not overweight to you. That's the simple answer I would give,
Mm-hmm.
But then again, it goes back again. When you hear a lot of these males and the way they talk, and when you go ask more deep into the rabbit hole of what they are, you could tell a lot of them have gone through unmet trauma that they have not resolved when they were, and that is a result of women. And I see that. I feel sorry for those type of men. But I tell most men, once you become an adult, your role as a man, you gotta find ways to heal and overcome, because this world is not kind to you, especially black men. This world will eat you up. They will spit you. They will do anything possible to see your destruction.
Right.
Black said it's not easy to be a black man in the
Right.
world you live in. It's never happened, never will, and it's not gonna get any easier. So for any man that sit there bicker and complain about what they can't attain, real men are trying to do things so they make the way, so that way they don't have to worry about attaining, because it will come to them like a flock. That is manhood. That is true manhood. If you have not reached that zeal, I'm sorry, brother. You need to go check yourself out and get yourself some help.
Right.
As me as man, when I hear that, I hear Suren going back and forth with some of these individuals, I look back and look at him and say, my God, look at what this side has done. Look what our females done to a lot of these boys.
Right.
It's going to take a lot to really turn this shit around. Because I can't fix broken households. I can't fix grown adult men. That's not my time. That's not my place. I don't even have time and energy to do it. Because you're broken. The only thing I can say is figure it out, get the help you need, then come back to me. And this not all goes for the brothers, but this also goes for the sisters. I know y'all women have problems with men because your father's abandoned and you have a lot of daddy issues. And it shows through not only your rhetoric, but it shows in your behavior towards the opposite sex, especially towards black men. I'm not sure how you're going to feel messing around with a non-black man is going to fix your problem. First of all, let me tell you something about you ladies. Men could sense dysfunction, especially dysfunctional females. And not just typical black men, the real black men could sense it, but other non-black men could sense it as well. And once they sense that, the only thing they will look and use you for as a cum bucket. I know this fucking hurts. You're only worth in this society, not just America, but globally, for a fuck. Not for more, not for less. That's the honest truth. And I'm telling you the honest truth, because other people, outlets like Derek Jackson, I don't know if you hear about this person named Derek Jackson. I've been hearing about this dude lately for the past week or two. And I don't follow other men. But I'll tell most women this. Anytime a man is telling you something that makes you feel comfortable and nice and you fine and dandy about it, 9 times time you're being lied to. Because if you're dealing with a real fucking man, no matter what he looks or what position in life or what status, he's gonna lay it to you raw uncut.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to give you some sense of logic and wisdom. If a man don't do that, he's leading you and going to probably use you to what he sees fit.
Yeah.
That's the game. That's the official game. That's how the world works. So when people feel said that they want to live in a how the world should be, I said, well, I don't live in fairy tales. I don't my dream of genie or what it calls little cartoon shows like My Little Pony type of nonsense. In a real damn world. And when I see the world is ugly and nasty. Just like Method Man said, fuck the world, but it's fucking hard. You gotta do what you need because it's fucking hard. That's the reality. Let me go to the chat room to see if anybody wrote something. Of course, my type of problem. Solve it. Okay. I'll be okay. Fact, yep, they're going to smash and pass you up. And that's what it is. And like you said, Albert Boy, and a lot of men that will go back to us, they know what I'm saying is truthful. And a lot of women don't want to hear us. But like I said before, this is a real cruel world, but this is reality how the world you live in. You know?
Yeah.
You're not the first pick, you are the last pick. You know what I'm saying? So I understand why you hold on to black men, and black men is gonna hold on to the real ones will. But the average ones that pick otherwise, they're not gonna hold on to. They're gonna go the other way. As you see right now, they're going the other way already. You know? So you gotta do what you can to not only get a man, ladies, but to try to keep that man. And that means you gotta do the opposite. You're gonna do it. And mind you, a lot of y'all females are doing it already by the no good worthless men that you're complaining about every day. The ones that you give your precious wound to daily. And do it with a smile on your face. So there's no excuse. Y'all big girls, grow up, please. You know, that's why I think a lot of these brothers that go hard you, I don't blame because you need to hear this. You need to go hard because you've been pampered too much. We don't live in a world where you got things should be easy and you get it nice and packaged nice and give it to no. You got here raw and uncut. You know, and a lot of men that you deal with is going to deal with the logic and tell you what it is, whether you don't like it or not. And the ones that sit there tell you some fairy tale and also that's not him, it's you, they lie to you. You gotta get away from the dudes that seriously pander to you. You always should question any person that's sitting you, telling you nice things and also and not really think of what really trying to get at. You know, I get in my pants. They're trying to suit to make me feel good. No, you gotta know the real hard truth. You know, and I kind of regret real sisters that has sister circles really tell other sisters when they really fuck it up and what they should do better. You don't have that anymore. You never did really have it anyway. Because a lot of these women that your friends that you mess around are friends, actual friends, they're gonna tell you what the hell you need here because a lot of them are in competition with you, ladies. So if you don't think you live in a competitive world, you're dreaming. You're fucking dreaming. Most and you know, Mary, you told me some stories of some ladies up here, you know, sisters fucking other sisters' husbands. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because that dude is good. He carries something. So she want that. And she'll take him from you. And still smile and look at you like it's nothing.
Right.
That's the world you live in today. So let me go back. And you said you have a certain thing to go to because almost I think it's during that time now for you and Mary. Not for this, you have to step out of here.
Yeah, he hasn't emailed me yet, so I guess I'll just hang out for a little while, see what's going on.
Okay. As we wait for Charles Faulkner, they say it was coming up. Another thing I do want to discuss, still on that page. And one thing, like any people that is either still going to school or are finishing, and a lot of them are fret to do this. I remember there was some outlets of people that could relieve it student loan debt. I know some people that could do it, and you know, people have to pay for some to get that expunged. But my thing is this with our people, especially the sisters. I can't speak about black men. Black men in college too, but you know, but let's say most of the majority of the debts on women because they are the ones, quote unquote, getting these degrees. Ladies, while you're in this university, you always gotta find other ways to get that residual income instead of always thinking that you're gonna look for that job and that job's gonna be waiting for you. You gotta think of other ways like practical skills. You know what I'm saying? If you don't have like a regular trade, try to do things like the crocheting. You know, back to basics, like your grandmas you do. You're gonna have to go back to this. Because one thing I've noticed with a lot of women that got these degrees, some from bachelor's, master's, and doctorate, all the other skills that keep them to be feminine or things that women should be doing is not there. Some of it's gone. And because of this, what's happened now, when shit gets hard, you're really going to be really fucked because now you have no man to provide or protect, and now you don't have no temp skills for yourself to sustain yourself. Unless you're going to be on the corner, you know. You know, I'm going to be nice. You get what I mean, ladies. But yeah, you're going to have to learn some side hustle skills, you know, while if you're attending this user, if you're going to get these degrees, you know. You can't just sit there and I know most outlets like, you know, Black Business School, Boyce Walkers had interviews with other sisters that have these degrees and tell them about, you know, what you do with your money and all that. And that's good. But overall, you know, you got to really find other ways to get that income instead of just going through the institution. Because the institution is the best place now to take more of your resource. And think about this, Amiri. With all these debts, which is over 40 million, last time I checked, when I read that a lot of people are having that have the debt. A lot of these people are going to be very much deprived and could potentially not even come up in life. It could probably lead to more poverty, which we're seeing right now, because the way of the wealth gap here in the United States is completely screwed, where they say the quote unquote rich is getting richer, while people that is either middle or poor is getting poor. And we have to evaluate what are we doing to continue furthering the gap. Because something people are doing to continue to separate the gap. Policy could really help us sponge this gap, but till then, we always got to look at, most people got to look at themselves. What are we doing to contribute to our gap between this wealth gap? You know, because college is a robber of wealth to people. Because once you owe more than $250,000 in student loans, it is very difficult to pay back, especially if you get a job and your job only pays $50K a year and your student loan outweighs the amount you get paid yearly. That check is going to be expunged heavily. It's going to be taking more than 10% from what I read. So really, you're going to be carrying more or less home, especially if you're not good with your money. I mean, I hear of stories of people that had doctorate degrees, especially Black females that got doctorate degrees, and they still poor. What that tells you? What the fuck that tells you? That tells you that degree you get that think is going to make you all right was a fucking lie, ladies. There's no way hell you're a doctor and you're still messed up financially. I know some doctors, not that many, and they still paying off student loans, and they graduate 20 years ago. Yeah, maybe almost 30 years ago. Last time I checked. Wow. I never piece why. I know why, because what student loan debt does, it keeps a cap space of what you already were going to potentially make, and it caps you even further. You don't know what a job does. Actually, it caps you. It limits how much you could potentially make.
Hey, Chaos.
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump off the call right quick. I'll come.
Do your thing.
Okay.
Thank you, man. It caps you, and with this cap space, it furthers what you could potentially make down the line. Hold on a second. All right, sorry about that. Yeah. So, damn. But let me, before I conclude this, let me go through this article. Anything else that I want to cover? Because it's always good examination. I want to make sure I cover everything. Let me click on to mandatory automatic deduction. Oh, wow. There's actually a 10-page about the mandatory deduction. Yes, I'll read it since I want people to go back to this. So let me do this. Okay. Okay. Let me see if this is working. If anybody can see my screen, let me know. All right. Let me check. Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. Chairman Alexander prepares remarks of AF Higher Education event, February 4, 2019. So this event, when he presented this, was, I think, almost 2 weeks ago. Chairman Lamar Alexander, our Tennessee, a college graduate paying more than $1,000 per month on student loan, recently wrote, "I was told to chase down a bachelor's degree by any means necessary, but no one mentioned just how expensive and soul crushing the debt will be. The United States has most of the best colleges in the world, but also the most graduates paying off college debt. Roughly 40 million borrowers, or 1.5 trillion in collecting student loan debt." Now, this was written, like I said, February the 4th, and it said roughly the number now is 1.5 trillion. So my math was off a little bit. I said 1.7 trillion, but it's now 1.5 trillion. So from what I could do the math, it jumps to, it was 1.3 trillion or 1.2 trillion back 2 years ago to 1.5. And let's say estimately, it seems to me it jumped an additional close to, I would say, 700 to more billion a year, at least, or 500 billion annually, to amount to today's 1.5 trillion. Let's keep going. The question that I hear most often about college are, can I afford it? Is it worth it? And can you apply for financial aid and repay student loan simpler? And from administrator as well, can you do something about the jungle of red tape that makes it so hard to apply for federal financial aid to pay back student loan, and that wasting money on overhead that could instead be spent on students? Today, I have 3 proposals to help make the answer of all 4 of those questions yes. First, simplified by the FSA, we can cut from 108 to no more than 24 of number of questions and dread free application of federal student aid, FSA, then 20 million families must fill out each year if they want a federal grant or loan to help pay for college. At our first hearing on updating the Higher Education Act of 2013, Kim Cook from National College Access Network testified that a simplification should encourage 2 million more students to apply the federal grant or loan that will make college more affordable for them. Second, a new way to repay student loan. We should scrap the current system of 9 different ways to repay federal student loan that was described by Dr. Susan, I think, Darnaski, a professor at the University of Michigan, at another hearing as a rigged chair payment system that unnecessarily plunged millions into financial distress. It should be replaced with 2 options, both in which would automatically deduct payments from your paycheck. The options I believe most borrower would choose is a repayment plan based on a borrowed income, which would never require the borrower to make payments of more than 10% of his or her discretionary income. And it makes sure if there were no money earned, there would be no money owed, and that would not be reflected negatively on a borrower's credit. The other option would be a 10-year payment plan with equal monthly payments similar to a 10-year mortgage. Damn. And you know these mortgages that's how a lot of these student loans are averaging out there just as much as the mortgage of a house. Imagine that. Third, I am proposing a new accountability system based upon whether borrowing or actual repayments their student loans. This should lower tuition for some programs or even discourage school from offering programs that are not worth it to students. All three of these proposals should help students afford college and make sure that the degree that earns is worth the time and money they pay for it. During the last 4 years, the Senate Education Committee has held 27 hearings on the Higher Education Act. These hearings have resulted in a number of bipartisan proposals that make college more affordable and worth students' time and money. Some of these bipartisan proposals align with the committee agenda. For example, Senator Jones and I, along with Senator Bennett and Collins, have worked on one way to simplify the FSA. And last year, the Senate passed legislation, Senator Murray, and plan to reintroduce this year that will allow FASSA applications to answer up to 22 questions with one click. Senator Burr and King have offered a way of simplifying the bewildering loan repayment system. And there are other good ideas. For example, Senator Murphy, Ezine, and Hassan are interested in expanding competency-based education program on campus. Professor Walter Russell Meds described these programs as measuring whether a student is learning stuff instead of measuring how long he or she sits in their seats. Senator Grassley and Smith have proposed require all institutions to use informal language and word letters. Students can each compare financial aid offers from different schools and distinguish whether the awards of loans that must be paid back one day are granted that do have to be repaid. Senator Grassley and Smith have also proposed making it easier for institutions to counsel students about how much money they should borrow. Senator Cassidy and Warren have introduced legislation to collect data that would help consumers make better educated decisions on where to go to school by providing programs level information how the debt students take on how much they earn after college. And last, Congressional Senator Shaheen Hatchett introduced legislation to create a student loan repayment accountability system. I have talked with other senators or other committees who are interested in higher education. Senator Murphy and Warren are interested in expanding Pell Grants to prisoners. Senators Young, Hassan, and interested experiment sites that Senator Kane and I discussed, allowing students to use their Pell Grant to pay for short programs. In addition to 2013, Senator Bennett, Makowski, Burr, and I asked a cross-section of college administrators to recommend us to specific steps to simplify and make more effective thousands of pages of regulations that accompany the grant and loan of the federal government paid to college. The result was Corrigan Zippo report that had 59 recommendations to eliminate what the report calls a jungle of red tape that wastes money on custody overhaul that could be instead spent on students. This year, I have met with Rakeem, Democrat Senate Party, Murray, and 9 other committees members to discuss compliance or compiling these ideas into single pieces of legislation. My goal is to report that legislation out of committee by spring so that the full Senate of the consider it this summer. This schedule should permit a conference with the House Representative on their version of reform to the Education or the Higher Education Act so that we can produce a presents for 20 million college students and their families by Christmas. Before I go into my proposal, I would like to mention the remarkable growth of higher education in the United States. The federal government system of grants and loans that help students pay for college is one of the most successful of all federal programs and certainly one of the most generous. Federal aid began with the GI Bill of Veterans in 1944, when veterans returned home from World War II were offered a scholarship at college of their choice. The only about 5% of Americans have degrees, most from private institutions. The GI Bill models of students taking federal dollars to the institution of their choice grew. Congress created a limited federal loan program in 1958 and expanded federal student loan to all students in the first Higher Education Act in 1965. Now remember, Judge Joe Brown graduated from high school he graduated around that time, now I think about it. And imagine when he talking about college, it was during the time in the 60s, a lot of black men were able to go to college and were advocating a lot of them to go to college during that time. Why? Because of this act. Let me read the act again. Congress created a limited federal loan program in 1958 and expanded federal student loan to all students in the first Higher Education Act in 1965. That's why, because they passed that act in 65, right on time, after the Civil Rights Bill passed in 64. By then, about 10% of Americans had earned a bachelor's degree. In 1972, Pell Grants were created to help students from lower income families pay for college. The aid has helped to make college degrees widely affordable for students and to attend 600,000 or 6,000 institutions that are among the best in the world. Last year, 6% of our country, 20 million college students received federal aid, 28 billion in grants, and 90 billion in new loans. And today, about 35% of Americans have a bachelor's degree. The federal taxpayer generously supplement by state government. 80% of college students attend public institutions that receive 87 billion from state each year. Tennessee became the first state in the country to make 2 years of college free for everyone, and efforts to lend by our state governor Bill Hassan, and 16 states have some similar programs. And there is a vast system of private scholarships, loans, and help or works programs to assist students who want a college education. Paying for college is never easy, but because of such generosity by taxpayers, foundation, and private individuals, you may think. In addition to the 16 states where 2 years of college is free for many students, for most students from lower income families, for states and other states that states that 2 years of college is nearly tuition free as well. The average tuition for the community college is $3,700. The average federal Pell Grant, which does not have to be paid back, is $3,900. Interesting. Public universities have tuition levels that are reasonably low tuitions. At the University of Tennessee is $13,000 per year. More and more private institutions such as Vanderbilt and guarantee students who are admitted will not have to pay more than their family can afford. And while the total student debt is large at 1.5 trillion for the graduation with a 4-year degree, the average student loan debt is just under $30,000 and about the same as the average car loan. Nevertheless, despite the extraordinary generosity, many students struggle to pay for college and to pay off debt that they incur in order to attend college. That is why I am offering this three proposals today to help students afford college and make their degrees worth the time and money they pay for them. First, simplify the FAFSA and cumbersome FAFSA is one major implement to low-income students who want to go to college. Hold on. They and their parents are intimidated by the complexity and weary of the government form and don't see why they should have to give the education department information they have already given to the IRS, which I agree. The former president of Southwest Community College in Memphis told me he believed that he lost 1,500 students each semester because of the complexity of the FASA. A woman who was mentoring with the Tennessee Free Tuition Program said the complex form has a chilling effect. Intimate parents who may themselves never had attended college and have no experience and over families have asked me, I already gave most of my information to the federal government when I pay my tax. Why do I have to do it once enough? True. To make matters worse, there is a process of the family scrambles to resubmit their tax information again, and the government checks that, make sure information is correct. I recently talked with another administrator from Southwest College who told me that over 1/3 of the application who put down the school as an option of their FA application were selected for verification last fall. At a school, over 6% of students receive a Pell Grant. That is a huge burden of low-income students who want to fill out the FASFS the most. This is happening across Tennessee. The president of East Tennessee State University told me 1/3 of the students who receive federal aid were subject to this verification procedure this year. I have two proposals to simplify the FASSA. First, Senator Jones and I, along with Senator Bennett and Collins, are reintroducing legislation soon that would reduce the number of questions from 108 to 15 to 25 basic questions about a student, their family, and their past and their plans for college. We would keep providing the information that states and institutions use to calculate additional aid to prevent students and families from having a complex additional paperwork down the line. Senator Jones and my legislation would also allow students as young as middle school easily learn about their likely Pell Grant awards with a phone app or a chart so they can begin thinking about planning for college. The second way to simplify FASSA is legislation a Senate passed last year and that Senator Murray and I plan to reintroduce this year, which would allow families to answer up to 22 FASFA questions with just one click. It does this by ending the need for families to give the same information of two different federal departments, the Department of Education and the Internal Revenue Service. I will add simplify the brimstone application process for the 40% of applicants who do not file federal income tax but likely qualify for Pell Grants. Dramatically decrease the number of students whose aid is tangled up to their are selected to verify and eliminating the $6 billion in mistakes that the Treasury Department estimate are made each year by awarding an applicant too much or too little aid. My second proposal to help make federal loans more affordable, one student guarantee will simplify the time or the 9 different ways to repay loans into 2 options. The current system is so complex, even college administrators struggle to navigate it. At a roundtable at the University of Tennessee, Martin and Tennessee College president told me it took him months to figure out how to help his daughter pay off federal school, even with the money in hand. But this proposal would streamline those 9 plans into 2 options that guarantee that they never have to pay more than 10% of the income, and that is not needed for necessity. And if a borrower loses their job or does not make enough, they would not pay anything and would not hurry their credit score. The monthly payments would be automatically withheld from borrowing paychecks, just like federal taxes. I believe every student will want to take advantage of this simple and affordable new option, but it's not. They will still be able to opt to pay on the existing 10-year loan repayment plan schedule, which is for many borrowers will help them pay off their loan faster. Just like the new repayment plan, borrower who wish to pay their loan off faster would have their payment automatically deducted from their paycheck. Let's talk about how the new income-based repayment plan will work. Joe earned his bachelor's degree in engineering. He had an average loan of college grant of $28,500. He makes $60K. That is what the Census Bureau say is a medium starting salary for someone who's engineering degree. He is unmarried and has no children. So that year, we deduct the portion of the income that is for necessities, that is $18,753. And what is left is what we call the discretionary income of $41,265. He will pay 10% of $41,265 a year, which $4,127 or $343 a month. Under this proposal, even if he never gets a raise, Joe will pay back his loan in 9 years. Now let's take May, who earns a bachelor's degree in economics, and she averaged $28,500. Her starting salary is $43,000. The median starting salary for someone with a degree in economics, according to the Census Bureau, she is also unmarried and has no children. So that year, we deduct this thing for necessities, $18,735. And that leaves her discretionary income of $24,265, which is not really a lot today, depending on what state she's in. And the problem reading this, they're not going by these states. What I mean by this, as I'm not looking at the chat room. If she pays $43K a year, she took out a loan of $28,500. Let me pull up my calculator and see what that is. I gotta see the numbers in this. 1 second, black people. All right. Subtracted by the debt she owes. Okay. So if we cut up 43 subtracted by 28, on average, she'll make $14,500 a year. Now, what is said here, that the year we deduct the same thing for necessities, $18,735, and that leaves her discretionary income of $24,265. May will pay 10% of $24,265 a year, which is $2,427, which is $202 a month. Now, it seemed like it might sound good from what I'm reading, but what I'm doing the math of, if that's how much I make a year, and then without all the other things, I'm still not bringing a lot. Especially if I'm living in New York or California. And income base is different because the cost of living is different depending on what degree you have. Let's continue. Under this proposal, even if she never gets a raise, May will pay back her loan in 16 years. God damn! 16 fucking years. Let me read that again. Under this proposal, she never gets a raise. May will pay back her loan in 16 years without a raise. Now tell me, does this proposal plan that's been put into action, or if it has not been approved, does it sound like this makes sense, people? And we know a lot of people, our sisters, are not backing six figures. If roughly they are, let's say roughly they are, you're gonna still be paying. You'll be paying for the next decade or more, if you're lucky. Let's continue. Stephanie earns her associate degree from a local community college. She has a $10,400 in student loan debt. The median amount in recent community college guarantees would expect to have. Her starting salary is $39,000 a year. The median salary for a 29-year-old with an associate degree. Okay. She's unmarried and has one child. So the proportion of her income that's needed for necessities is $23,365. Is large because it is supporting two people. That leaves her discretionary income of $13,635. Stephanie will pay 10% of that $13,635 a year, which is $1,364, which is $114 a month. Under this proposal, Stephanie will pay back her loan in 10 years, even if she never gets a raise. Finally, let's look at someone who isn't able to repay their loans. John went to community college for a year, took out $7,500 in student loans, but dropped out after his first year. He makes $20,000 a year. He is unmarried and has no children. So we deduct the portion of his income that is needed for necessities, which is $18,735. And that leaves this discretionary income of $1,265. John will pay 10% of $1,265 a year, which is $127. Under this proposal, assuming he never gets a raise, John will have not repaid his loan in 20 years. Let me read that again. Under this proposal, assuming he never gets a raise, John will have not repaid his loan in 20 years. Damn. And 3 out of these 4 examples, the borrower were able to pay back their loan in 20 years. And if these students have reasonable salary increase, they will pay off their loans even sooner. But for those undergrad students like John who never made enough to pay back their loan in 20 years, it almost that he hasn't been paying after 20 years is forgiven under current law, and that seems like a policy we should keep. Under this new repayment system, students will have a manageable payment and will complete pay off their loan, which is good for the students and is good for the taxpayers. This new option should end the nightmare that many students have or never been able to afford the student loan payment. My third proposal is a new accountability system for college to make sure the degree they offer are worth students' time and money. Okay, this new accountability system will measure whether students are actually paying off their loan. The proposal would simply and expand what the Great Gainful Employment Rule proposed in 2014 by U.S. Department of Education tried to accomplish. What is different is that it would apply to every program and every college, public, private, and for profit. And the measures will be much simpler. For some programs, that should provide college with an incentive to lower tuition and help their students finish the degree and find a job so they can repay their loan. There will be other good ideas, and some of them are difficult. One of these rules about campus safety. U.S. Department of Education is proposing a rule addressing campus safety, clarifying what is required by the Title 9. I'm glad to see the department is going through the remaking process, which allows the public to submit commitment. It is my belief that Congress can also address some of these issues, and I am committed to trying to do that. We have a commit with many different voices and diverse views, but we have been successful in bringing legislation with broad bipartisan support, including with the dividends governments, including fixed federal student loans by law, fixing No Child Left Behind in 21st Century Cure Act of legislation to combat the opioid crisis. In my conversation with Democrats and Republican senators, I have found a remarkable degree of bipartisan consensus about the direction we should take to make college affordable and make student degrees worth their time and money. Of course, there will be difference of opinion, and if there are, we will resolve them in traditional way by voting. And if we cannot agree on one thing, I would be willing to do so or do as our committee has in the past, which is move forward of these information, matter of which we can agree. There has never been a time when more Americans agreed to education and training beyond high school and essential to a good life and higher income. It is our responsibility to take whatever steps we can to help students afford college and make sure that the degrees that they earn worth the time, money they pay for them. And that is the end of this article. And let me stop sharing. Okay. What's up, Katie? I just see you there. That's cool. Thank you for listening. All right. I think I stretched him long enough. I hope this was educational. This is informative. I hope you got something out of this. I know I did. And one thing is clear. And there are more to this side. And there's more I could go into and read more. But like I said, you're going to have to read this for yourself. And this is what I'm going to do. I want people to go back through this. A matter of fact, nah. I'll probably drop links to this video so people could read for themselves. And you'll see it during the comment section during this the end of this broadcast. So I hope you got some out of this. I hope you learned from this. If you can, I wouldn't mind if y'all guys share this video to inform the next person. Because sharing is caring, and repetition is the key. You will learn a lot from the videos I do so far. Some that will stay home and something that will make you think. And that's what I want to accomplish today during this live broadcast. So like anything else, till next time. And I appreciate y'all for coming by and listening. Let the chaos